Chapter 1. Ravi rushes through the building stairs of the editorial section on the 17th floor of the newsroom and slam opens the cabin door of Beena, the senior editor. "I have him on line 6. Says Ravi. She looked at Ravi for a second with a grin of appreciation and turned around on her revolving chair to take the call. "Hello, I am Beena, and you can talk to me," she says. "Is this a private line?" asks the man on the phone. "Yes, it is. Please tell me, is he ready for the interview?" she asks with a mild excitement. "Yes, he wants to meet, but it must just be you and the cameraman, only nobody else," says the man on the phone. "That's perfect. It would be just me and the crew, no one else, I promise," she says. "I'll confirm the time and place. Wait for my next call." The man hangs up. Beena, with all her grace, is in her late 30s and married to Arun, who is a cardiologist and a mother of 2. Alice is 16 and Amit is 4. As one of the most promising editors in the industry, Beena now has quite a fame. She has been in the news business for some time now and known for her achievements in the field of investigative journalism. Interviewing banned political leaders and separatists is her playground. She likes to call it a job, but deep inside it is her passion. The newsroom is tracking and trying to get an interview of a man called Kalanji, a leader of a separatist group in the Bihar and West Bengal borders in India. This man has gone underground after both the state governments banned him and his party. Some of the national news medias were not shy to call him a mass murderer. Ravi is one of the field reporters working in Beena's team. The call Ravi received today was from an ally of Kalanji, to confirm a meeting between Beena and Kalanji for an interview. Beena has been chasing this interview for the last 6 months. No one has seen Kalanji after his last public meeting in a remote village of the northern Bengal borders, where he publicly executed 2 prominent members of the ruling party. Arun reached home early today. As a doctor, this is rare. He normally reaches home only after the kids have gone to bed. But today he is early and has the time to make it up for the kids. The kids love the chicken he makes, and there is nothing better to put some smile on those little faces. Even Beena is a big fan of his culinary skills. In fact, that's exactly how he managed to rope her in this relationship. She was about to slip out because of that idiot banker and her schoolmate, but then, the clinical mind of a doctor played the trick to take a shortcut through the stomach to the heart. Arun freshened up and changed quickly. He already had stopped at the grocery to pick up the ingredients and is all set to cook. The kids are watching the cartoons and the housemaid Karuna is in her room. Since Arun is cooking today, Karuna got an off. She is anyway with the kids all day after they are back from the schools, and does all the cooking every day. Arun puts the chicken in marination with a little light soya sauce, the hickory-flavored barbecue sauce, a little vinegar, and some ginger and garlic. And takes out the vegetable tray out of the fridge for some bell peppers and red cabbages. This is one of the easiest and tastiest chicken dishes he makes, and the kids absolutely love it. And most importantly, they love the vegetables in this chicken too, since it gets a little burnt, and with that smoky flavor, it's something entirely different than what Karuna cooks. Arun looks at his watch. It's 30 minutes past 8 and Beena must be on her way home. Her office is not far from the house, and anyway Kolkata is a small city. It's just the traffic that kills the pace of the city. And at this hour it's a bad mess out there. But she should be home by 9, anything beyond 9 is when a phone call is in the picture. The wok is on the fire and the oil started to smoke. Arun puts the marinated chicken thighs in the oil, and it started sizzling. The chicken needs to get a little seared and browned, the kids love it that way. The bell rings at 8:55, and Karuna rushes to open the door. Beena closes her eyes on the entrance, and takes a deep breath. "Yummy chicken!" she exclaims. "Shush," says Amit. He doesn't like to be disturbed while watching cartoons. She puts her bag on the sofa and walks into the kitchen. Standing by the door, she admires the love of her life on job. She knows how much Arun loves to cook, especially for the kids and her. "Why are you home early today?" she asks with a naughty tone. Arun looks at her and winks with an equally naughty grin, and puts the chopped vegetables in the wok. Beena walks out of the kitchen, kisses Alice on her head, and snatches the TV remote just to pick a fight with Amit and hug him, cuddle him like a toy. The phone rings while Amit is on her lap, and she quickly picks up the call. It's Ravi. They confirmed. It's Saturday 9 p.m. near the Pokhara village highway, says Ravi. Chapter 2. Pokhara is about 30 kilometers inside the national highway that connects West Bengal with Jharkhand. A small village with less than 100 families. Mostly Rohingya refugees across the borders. The place is a nightmare for outsiders. The people here are not welcoming for various political and social issues. Some of them also resort to various illegal activities across the borders. The nearest police assistance is about 30 kilometers. 2 vehicles, a news van and an Audi A6 parked by the sides of an unpaved strip of road with their lights turned off. The road is about 6 feet broad, and has deep forests of tall trees on both sides. There is a constant hissing sound of the night bugs. Bina looks at her mobile and tries to call the last dialed number, but the call fails with a notification, no network. She pulls her handbag on her lap and tries to look for something in the bag. It's dark inside the car, and the only visible lights are the dashboard lights, which are of no help. She turns on the cabin light and starts digging the bag. She takes out the Glock and the voice recorder, and puts them next to her on the seat to finally get hold of the cigarettes and the lighter. Arun doesn't know of her smoking, though he asked a few times if she did smoke. This is one of those things, she thinks, that doesn't need a confrontation, it will only make things complicated. As a doctor, Arun is always careful about her health and things that she should avoid. If he gets to know of this smoking habit she has for last 10 years, it won't be nice. It would probably get her into making false promises again. 3 years back, during some interview, she was badly injured in a mob attack. Arun literally was sitting next to her constantly for 3 days, until she could sit up. That is also when he convinced her to keep the Glock for personal safety. It wasn't difficult to get one, with the social and professional reputation they both have. The car window rolls down. She lit the cigarette and takes a long draw. A man gets off from the news van and walks towards the car's open window. Param is an assistant producer who works with Bina in all her outdoor and potentially hostile encounters. He is one of the very few people who she actually listens to. In past 6 years he has learnt that at times he needs to upgrade himself as an advisor and make sure the girl gets out alive. Do you think he will actually show up? Param asks in a low voice. Let's just wait for some more time, she says. Ravi is trying to reach the contact for a long time, there is no network and it's past 10. I think he stood us up, he says. She sighs and turns on the mobile screen for the time. Let's pack, she says. Param, while walking back, nods at Ravi on the front seat of the van. The vehicles turn around and starts moving to the direction they came from. Bina types a text on her mobile to Arun, meeting cancelled, on my way to the room. The message stays unsent because of no network. The car bumps heavily and she says, Salim, be careful. Salim has been driving her around for last 4 years. In his 50s, Salim is a soft-spoken and a very careful driver. He is often very protective as well. There are no roads, only rocks and boulders, we should have gotten the Jeep, he urges. It's alright, just be careful, she says. Both the vehicles are speeding through the narrow road, the dust clouds behind them. There is hardly anything that can be seen from the Audi because of the van in the front. The harsh headlights of the vehicles tearing apart the jungle and the darkness like arrows. Arun puts the kids on the bed. They had pizza today. It's a cheap treat when Mama is not around from Daddy. Arun closes the door behind him and walks to the bedroom. He takes a shower and puts on a pair of jeans and t-shirt. Looking at the mirror, there is a smirk on his face. It's a cheat day for all. At 44, Arun looks like in his mid-30s, he is tall and athletic, and with a stylishly trimmed beard, he is quite a killer. He opens a folder named Sedatives in his mobile to launch a messaging application and types knock knock to the only contact in that application saved as Lily. The elevator door opens and Arun walks into the car park under the building. He rushes as he doesn't want anyone else to see him leaving at this hour. He unlocks the Range Rover and closes the door immediately. The black Range Rover leaves the building without getting any attention, disappearing in the darkness of a sleeping city. Bina woke up with a jolt as the car stopped with a sudden brake. She can barely see what's happening outside, there is so much of smoke and dust. Salim is also trying to gather himself. She could see the van in front tilted and shifted off the road. The car is also tilted and off the road, barely missing the van. The back door of the van opens and Param crawls out, trembling in shock and pain. Suddenly, the entire area lights up like a fire show and hundreds of handheld fire torches appear from nowhere. In that smoke and dust-filled air, Bina sees the people look like local villagers. They are calm and composed. But they look like they are in a mission. All of them have some kind of weapon like axes, hammers, bow and arrows and spears. There is something going on. And then she sees an old woman in front of the van standing in the middle of the road. She stood firm, holding a stick with her left hand, and with her right hand she held a girl by her hair. The girl's face can't be seen. She is bending from her waist facing the ground and her long hair is tightly roped and the old woman's hand locked as if she is an animal. The girl is trying to get free, but the grip of the old woman seems like a spell that can't be freed. The old woman then drags her by her hair, crosses the road and takes her to the ground next to the road. The girl is dragged like a sack on the floor. Her hands try to grip the tiniest supports they can find, but the old woman is like a spirit that can't be stopped. She kept walking without looking back or pausing for a second. The ground next to the road is filled with men and women with fire torches, and a huge fire is burning at the center, throwing black smoke and ashes in the sky. The air is heavy, and there is a strange smell that engulfs the area with something unknown. The old woman drags the girl near to the fire, and the crowd sits down on the ground as if there is going to be some show. Bina quickly gathers herself from the shock and takes out the Glock and tucks it at the back of her trouser, and storms out of the car, pushes few men in front and rushes towards the old woman. Param stops her, holds her hand, and looks at her in sheer surprise. "What do you think you are doing?" cries out Param. They are going to kill her, I know," she says in agony. "Let's just get out of here, it's not our business," he says. "No, I can't let that girl die." Bina snaps and runs towards the old woman and stands between the fire and her. She could feel the heat of the fire on her back and somehow there is a freezing air coming from the old woman. The old woman is bare feet wearing a white robe that falls a little below her knees. Her head is covered with the part of the same robe as a veil covering her face. She is wearing bangles in both her hands that are made of wood and some roots. The stick that she held is a thick branch of a tree with carvings on it, and at the top it's rolled with strings made with dried roots of various trees, and knots of some red cloths. Bina stood in front of her like a wall. She could hear the old woman chanting something continuously in a whispering voice. "Let her go," she says. The old woman doesn't move. She held the bunch of hair even firmly, and the girl fights like a lamb in a trap. "Let her go," she screams. Slowly she could see that the mob is making a circle around her, and the old woman, and they don't look pleased. Param and Salim somehow manages to push and get inside the circle and stands behind Bina. "We should leave," Param whispers to her. "He is right, madam," says Salim. The mob starts getting impatient. They are saying something in their local language that can't be understood. One of the men from the mob points an arrow at Bina and screams something. She stays calm and gets even closer to the old woman. "Let her go," she says again firmly. The old woman drops the stick in the ground and raises her head to look into her eyes. Bina sees a face with millions of wrinkles, dark patches and gray hair almost covering her whole face, and two dark, but very bright eyes with a million tails in them. The eyes glow like they are on fire. The old woman turns to the man pointing the arrow and nods with a command to put it down. The man obeys and puts down the arrow. She then turns her head slowly towards Bina with a grin on her face, still chanting, but now it can be heard loudly. The mob looks scared as if something unholy is happening and steps back. The woman looks into Bina's eyes with a grin mocking her. Her chanting engulfs the surrounding, and the girl keeps fighting her grip. The woman reaches for Bina's hand and puts something hard in her palm, and closes it. Then she takes off the veil to uncover her head, and looks up in the sky chanting loudly, holding the girl's hair firmly in her right hand. It felt like she is asking the gods in the sky for a permission. Her voice is loud and clear, it's deep and somehow is very soothing even in this chaos. She stops chanting and looks deep into Bina's eyes, gets closer and hints her to get her face closer to her. Bina gets closer and the woman whispers the word evil in her ears in a very deep voice. Bina could hear that word echo through the jungle, the darkness, the mob and her mind 1,000 times. The woman then takes a step back and pulls the girl by her hair towards Bina and smiles. Like she is a gift and Bina could keep her. Bina kneels down and holds the woman's hand to release the girl from that grip. The woman lets the grip loosen and the girl falls on the ground. The Range Rover halts at a security gate of a high-rise. The security guard on duty looks at the car and tries to take a good look at the driver's seat to find if it's the regular visitor. Arun nods at him from inside the car, and the gate opens at a push of a button. The car rolls in. Lily, in her late 20s, is a medical student and a model. She comes from a small town from the suburban areas of West Bengal. Her father is a businessman and she lost her mother when she was 10. She is in her final years of becoming an MD in neuroscience. Though she comes from a small town, her life is at par with any other girl raised in the same city. She likes good things in life, and has a taste for men like Arun. Beautiful, slim and long hair are some of her attributes that attracts a lot of men towards her. The bell rings and Lily runs through the drawing room to open the door like a child. She opens the door halfway to see Arun standing outside. "Where is my stuffed darling?" she asks in a raunchy tone. Arun takes out a transparent plastic pouch with some green-colored substance in it from his pocket and flashes at her. She tries to snatch it, but Arun takes it away and puts his arm around her waist and pulls her close. She giggles and tries to get away. "Let me close the door, you dog," she chuckles. Arun likes it when she calls him a dog. It makes him feel in context. He relates a dog is greedy and always after treats, and Arun is here for only one reason, the treat. He walks in pushing and holding her by her waist and closes the door with his foot. She jumps and puts her legs around his waist, arms around his neck, and puts her tongue in his mouth. Arun supports her by placing his hands under her, grabbing the soft flesh of her back. She chews his lips and sucks his tongue, pressing herself even closer to him. He carries her to the bedroom, which is mildly lit up with a yellow light from a bedside lamp. She giggles as he puts her on the bed and pushes back, making place for him. Her curls falling over her face, making it even prettier. Her playful eyes made mysteries, and in that red t-shirt and blue hot pants she looks like a cheerleader. Arun smiles. He is happy to see his treat getting uncovered.